Sir, it's so splendid to see you here in Kotor. Sir, how are you finding the city?
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for making this possible. It's very nice for me to be here for the first time in Montenegro and also in Kotor. And yeah, I'm very happy. I had a nice walk this morning. I walked up the hills a little bit, not too long, because I wanted to save myself a bit and keep my forces for tonight. But I also had to practice in the hotel a bit. So, but it's a beautiful place. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I love it.
My question will be a kind of very basic one, but what initially drew your attention to perform medieval and Renaissance music?
Yeah, it's a good question. I started playing music when I was 5 or 6 years old, the violin and some theory training in France. And then when I got to the age of 14, I discovered medieval music, because we had a music history course in high school where the teacher herself had a great interest in early music. She played us various recordings, and that's when I started thinking, there's lots that interests me there. At a certain point, she played to us a motet by Machaut, which is Inviolata Genitrix, in case you know it. And when I heard this piece, after 1 minute, I decided, okay, I know what I'm going to be doing. I need to understand this and to study this music. So, and then little by little.
What performance was this?
That I don't remember. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was Dominique Villar's performance or an English group. I don't remember that. But it was a striking performance, and just to hear this polyphony for the first time was amazing. So I thought, I need to study this. And then little by little, I met people who were playing the recorder. I ended up finding the music, the scores. This was when I was a teenager, 15, 16 years old. I looked for music in shops and also in libraries. You know, in Paris there were many libraries with editions. You know, the polyphonic music of the 14th century and all these. So I started making paper copies at the time. People would make paper copies, and so I still have them in my office. And this is where I started. And I bought some instruments. I found my first fiddle and then the first bagpipes. And then at some point I went to Basel, but it all happened gradually.
Okay, thank you. And my question will be about your fiddling technique. Your bowing technique is quite distinct. Can you elaborate how you came to the idea to bow this way?
Okay, let's say that the basic technique was established when I learned the classical violin. It has to be said that, you know, what you learned as a child to play an instrument is something that stays with you. And then all the rest happened over the years by studying the repertoire. I must say it comes from the repertoire mainly, you know, how to interpret the repertoire, the vocal repertoire on instruments, on the fiddle, and keep it sort of linear and vocal. And I think there's a great deal of my technique that comes from that research, from that, from me looking for the best way to treat the music instrumentally. Of course, there are also other influences of traditional music, listening to Irish folk techniques or Swedish or the Southern Indian violin technique. I think I gathered things from many places. So, and this ended up, you know, I ended up creating a mix of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is where I am now, and I think it will keep evolving. I sort
It's
of
still
hope-
evolving.
Yeah, I think so.
I would ask you about how it's evolved during the years, but my question is, was it kind of a distinct moment when you realized, okay, I will do it this way?
No, actually not. I have to say that it's in constant evolution. And I even, half an hour ago I was in the hotel practicing slowly with a metronome and trying to get back to this basic feeling of relaxation and subtle bowing, subtle transition, fast passages. I just keep working and it keeps changing.
It's going to keep changing in the medieval music, at least, and majority of them it's vocal music. So there is no instrumental line written. What's your approach to accompany vocals or making your own instrumental music, which didn't exist before, or it existed but it was never written?
Okay, this is also something that I started working on quite early on, how to accompany singers. I realized that when I was 17, I already accompanied Trouvère songs and medieval monophony in Paris. I didn't have a clue of what to do. In a way, there's an instrument. The instrument tells you what to do, but you also try to play the melody. So I think there are basic techniques that I use, which are playing the melody along with a set of drones, of course, depending on the tuning that you use. The instrument or the tuning forces you to go in a certain way, where the tonic and the fifth of the mode are always integrated in your accompaniment. And then there's a second kind of strategy, which is to answer the singer or to anticipate what the singer will do. And this is something where I say traditional music has influenced me a lot, listening to how people accompany themselves or another singer. And then a third aspect is to know about the polyphonic techniques of the time and try to integrate them also in these accompaniment techniques or strategies. So it's a mix of things. At the end of the day, if I teach a student, I tell them to follow one strategy at a time, but if I do it myself, it's never that consistent. It's basically a big salad bowl with all these ingredients.
It's evolving as well.
Yeah.
So, and what are your hopes and expectations for this particular concert today in Kotar?
Okay, today we're going to be performing a program that we have performed for several years already. There's some new pieces which are specific to this year because of the anniversary of the coronation of Bolesław the Great, the Brave, Bolesław the Brave, excuse me. And so I'm looking to have a great moment with my colleagues, and the interaction is always very nice and very friendly, and also, I'm hoping to get, a nice feeling of the place and the audience, and to just enjoy myself a lot, because for me it's not a stressful gig. It's just playing myself basically. So I'm really looking forward.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniil. Thanks.